Well, this will be one of the next projects. 41 Chevy going on the S10 chassis. Just hooking up some power to see if I could get this old Chevy motor to run. Dump some fuel in the gas tank. Put a wire on so that I got power to my coil. And she runs, just like that. So we have the S10 apart. It is apart. And the Chevy is in the shop. And Keith is working tonight on it to take it off. We got the S10 removed from that chassis. Somebody's coming to pick this up. They want the body parts anyway. And we are going to use the chassis. Chassis V6. It's going in there. It's going to be tight fit, I'm thinking, but I think we should have room. We're going to need a different rad. I think the most we can fit into that other one is like 2 feet, and this one's too big. Anyway, that's the progress today. So I'm not quite sure what year truck this is. I think it's a 37, something like that. Somebody will be able to tell me a little better. But this is going on top of a S10 chassis. And this is the S10 chassis here, V6. But our the engine is too far forward. On these rigs, the wheels sit a lot further forward and the engine sits back. So Keith, you said about 8 inches it needs to go back? About 8 inches.
It's got to move about 8 inches forward, backwards. So this has got to come out. We've undone everything. It is ready to lift out. And then we'll mount the cab first, and then see where we need to mount the engine and trans back into this thing. I have to cut some out of the drive shaft. Yeah, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. We thought this one would be a pretty fast swap, but not this time. It's gonna take a little more. So anyway, that's the status of this. What year is the truck, Keith?
46.
46. Oh, okay, 46. It's the same thing though, as your, very similar to your, right?
Well, the difference is the fenders and the headlights are mounted on the thing, and my 39 is mounted onto the sides of the grill.
Right, okay. So 46. It's a pretty decent cab. There's a lot of floor missing though.
Well, that's because it all comes out nicely. You just unbolt it though.
Yeah.
It's all there. I just unbolted it all.
Oh, you took it all off?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Anyway, this will give us a little room here to work. Figure out what we need to do. Keith's even talking about possibly cutting the firewall out of the S10 and putting that into here. Just a little easier placement for the brakes and for the brake booster, pedals, all that stuff. Anyway, that's where we'll leave it here. We'll give you an update again. So we got lowered on here. Yeah, do some cutting in this area here and in here.
Rad cradle had to be cut a bunch. I don't know. It's gonna be tough to fit a rad into this thing after. Over here, Keith was just saying, even the steering box. Gonna cut a little more of the rad out just to get the hoses in. Right over there. That should be interesting. Looks pretty good though. Probably to get it any lower, you have to do drop spindles.
Spindles, lowering blocks.
Lowering blocks in the back and spindles up front. That's... She is right on the frame right now, just hovering above it. Let's see it here. It is basically touching. We haven't lifted off just a little bit because the door wasn't shutting on the driver's side here. So that's where this one will rest. And you'll never see the frame because this thing has steps yet, which will block the frame so you don't have to see the frame. There's no box for this truck. There was a flat deck for it. And all we're doing for the guy is putting a box floor on top of here. That's it. We're not putting any box on here because there is none for it right now. Keith made this jig so you could attach it to the cab at the front or at the back here, in the front over here, so we could lift the cab. Because whenever you do a chassis swap like this, you gotta lift it up and down. Anybody that's done this before knows exactly what I'm talking about. You're lifting up and down, up and down. We've already done a bunch of that, cutting to make clearance for everything. And it makes it way easier if you have a lift. It'd be nice to have a lift in my shop, but there is no room for that. Not in that shop. But this makes it pretty easy. And I think the wheel is pretty well exactly where it should be. Let us know if you think it needs to be something different. But so that is ride height on this truck. Now we have to build mounts for the cab, get everything put where it needs to go, and then we can build engine mounts to slide the engine back. Basically move that 8 inches back right into here. It should be interesting, but I think it'll work. A little maneuvering, we should be able to get it in there. Yeah, so that's what we got so far. Whoop. Making noise. It's what? Foot off the ground. 12 inches at the front. 11 inches off the ground.
That's no motor still, so
Right, that's no motor.
it'll drop down a good
One,
inch yet.
yeah, once the engine's in, it should drop a little bit yet. So there's more weight on the front suspension. I mean, the cab isn't even on there yet, right? It's touching maybe, but there's no weight on it. So basically that's unsprung right now, just on the chassis. Right here. Okay, so we have just have it clamped on for now, but just so you can see, you can't see the frame at all. Once that's on there, so sit nice and low, and it could really come down. If you look in the back here, we probably have another 4 inches, but the problem is on the S10 frame, it's too wide for this cab. If we could set it over top of the frame, you could bring it down another 4 inches. I don't know what kind of rad you get in here though. Another 4 inches less rad. But
It's got to go on this way. It's, we don't want to alter the frame. I mean, we made a lot of work to try and get that to go over top of that. A ton of work because it is right on top of it now. Anyway, I think it looks pretty good. I think the next thing you do is just, yeah, like you say, put the drop spindles on there and the blocks in the back, and once the engine and everything is in, once the cab is mounted, it'll lower it down a bit more too. Should be a nice little rider. Okay, so now we're trying to figure out engine mounts. We did cut the cross member already. We're gonna cut a bit off and we put this piece back on. You can see where it used to mount right over here with these 4 bolts. Right over there. We moved it back 8 inches. That's what we're thinking we need. It's kind of what we measured when it was chassis. Body was down over top of the chassis. And now we're trying to figure out the engine mounts. So what we've done is these engine mounts, they actually unbolt right off of the chassis right over here. You can see we've added 1 bolt here and 1 bolt there just to hold these plates in, just to see if this plane is very similar, but it is, I think they're both different a little bit. And so it's making it a little more difficult to figure this out. We put a piece of angle iron in between the 2 engine mounts. So what that will do for us is keep that in exactly the right plane of where it needs to be. So when we lower the engine onto it, it should just slide right onto them. We just got to build mounts up to them, and wherever they are, then we can cut these free, and then we're good to go. We have this 8 inches back right now, and it is getting right into the suspension here. So we got to figure that out. This one isn't so bad, but we don't have this quite high enough either. We have to raise this up a bit, about 1/4 inch or so. So yeah, that's the dilemma we're facing. We've got center tied off here, so we kind of know where it's right where our cross member crosses here for the transmission mount, and right at the front there. So we're trying to center this all, plus also make sure it's the right height and the right angles. Then hopefully we can just put it in here and put it in and it will just fit. So that's taking a little bit of time to figure out exactly what we need to do. So this is the little jig that Keith and I figured would hold this thing, engine mounts in place. Now that's kind of put it in a spot where we can make this work. This has taken us all day just to figure out how to get these things into a position where they're going to work. And so now we have them leveled out, we've got the right angles. Now we just got to build, they're sitting right where they need to be, so we just need to build mounts from the frame to the engine mounts now. So only part of it's done, but that's the way it goes. This is quite the job moving this powertrain back 8 inches. It's quite the pain. As you can see, we're really close to that A-arm there. We're gonna have to do some trimming on that engine mount, which is not a problem. We can make some clearance there, and this one has lots of clearance. So we have it on center on the line. So that all lines up. It's a little off, I guess. This line is a little tweaked.
That's better right there. Anyway, that's where we're at right now. Is it a real pain, Keith?
Yep.
It's a real pain. Is what it is. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, we'll bring you back once we have some mounts made up. We're gonna do the cardboard CAD right now, it looks like. Get that thing set up so that you can cut something out and make it work. Well, I think we figured it out. We got some motor mounts in there. We built some plates so that the motor mounts can bolt onto. And we have these chunks under here. To tie it together, it's tied onto the frame. All beveled, ready to go. The other one just has to be chopped down a little bit to fit into place, right into there. And then this whole rig can come off because we've tacked it to that tube right there, just onto this plate that's the motor mount is tacked onto or tied onto. Then what we can do is we can take this whole thing off once it's tacked on. We'll pull the bolts out there and over there and pull this whole thing off, weld it from behind. Then we can set it back in place, put these two bolts in, and that'll line up these guys exactly where they need to be, and we can burn them in. And then the motor should be able to go in. I mean, we don't have the cross member put in yet, but we should be able to put that in even with the whole engine and transmission in here. We can set it right in place. I figure out exactly where it goes. Build some brackets right off of that. Here we just have to drill some holes. Yeah, it's getting close to having the motor installed again. But I'm calling for the day. I gotta do a couple of things. Looks like Keith is gonna keep on working on it, and tomorrow we'll give you another update. See where we go. Hopefully we can get the engine in. You think we can get the engine in tomorrow, Keith?
Who knows?
I guess we'll see how it goes.
So many other things have to change.
That's right. There's a lot of things that's got to change here to make this all work. Hopefully we can make that all happen. I know we can. It's a lot more work than we thought it was. Anyway, until tomorrow. So engine mounts are tacked in. We've taken the brace off, and we're ready to test fit the engine. It's gonna come out again. We gotta do cab mounts and everything, and it's way easier to do that without the engine inside. Anyway, this is gonna be a test fit of the engine. We have it on stand, so that is ready to try. I'm gonna stick that in there, see what happens. Got new engine mounts on. The other ones were broken, the rubber snapped off. I don't know if we have those around. No, they snapped right off. So we'll try it, see what happens, see what we can get done here. So that didn't take long at all. Slid right into place. Got the engine mounts attached, both sides. We can see it. There we go. It just slid right in. Training mounts right in place as well, but we've got to attach it yet. This is our opportunity to do that. Put this in here. We can get the right angle of the dangle for the motor, engine. Dang, that thing is in the way. Whew. Hit my head a couple times there. Anyway, now that I have a headache, it's great. It's on there. The engine mounts are just tacked in, but this is our opportunity to make sure that this thing's gonna fit right where we want it. So, this is what we're doing. I'm gonna put the level on there. We can tell exactly what angle. We know what it was before, so we're just gonna make sure that the engine sits at exactly the same angle. And it goes in now. It should be good. Well, we'll till we get an update again, I'll let you know. Okay, so we have the cab set down over top of the engine and transmission. As you can see, it looks like the chassis has got to go back another inch, 2 inches. And we have the room. That's not a problem. That'll get us in a good spot there. It's gonna be the fan with the radiator. You can tell like the fan mounts right to the front of this frame here. And this fan is right up to that. So there is no room. But with 2 inches and the fan removed, I'm gonna have to go with electric fan on the front of the rad. What do you think?
Figure it out.
It's gonna happen, whether it likes it or not. But there's lots of room. We have room for a booster in here, brake booster, master cylinder. Should all work. But yeah, that's moving the engine and trans eight inches back. We don't have the chassis at the final spot yet. Engine's got to come out again. We just wanted to see how it would fit in here and what kind of clearances we would have. And it looks like, from everything I can see, looks like that should work. Yeah. I don't see any problems. Well, besides the rad, there ain't too many problems. Well, with that extra inch or two that we get from moving the chassis a little more backwards in this, because it needs it, you can tell by the way that it is, that it needs to go back just a wee little bit, maybe an inch. Now that I see it a little better, yeah. Awesome. Time to burn the mounts in. Engine is out again. That MIG welder does such a good job. Well, it's a welder too. But it puts down a really, really nice bead. Well, this is where I think I'm going to leave it. We have the mounts are done. The motor can go back in. We're just he's drilling some holes to put the cross member in for the transmission, and then the motor's going back in. So that's what you'll see next episode. Thanks for watching.
Well, this will be one of the next projects. 41 Chevy going on the S10 chassis.